What's going on, everybody out there? Welcome to the IGN All-Star Community Podcast. This is episode 6 of the podcast. I'm one of your hosts, the epic Jake James Lugo. With me, I have my compatriot, Mr. Peter Lopez. Peter, my man.
Oh, hey, what's going on, everybody?
Oh, are you in the bathroom or somthing? Jeez.
Yeah, that pause on
Did we not tell him we're recording?
He usually asks me how I'm doing, and then I responded. So I kind of got
I was trying to throw you a curveball.
I was like, hey, I'm on a podcast, Mom.
Yeah.
And that other majestic voice you hear over there is Mr. Ryan Palmer. Ryan, my man, how you been?
Hey, doing good. No, sorry, Superman does good. I'm doing well.
Doing just well or just fine?
Doing well. It's Saturday morning, so, you know.
Yeah, Saturday morning podcasting. That's how it gets done. There's no more Saturday morning cartoons. Everybody notice that? No more Saturday morning cartoons?
Yeah, they did away with them.
Yeah.
Man.
I don't know,
They need to bring back Saturday morning cartoons. I'm just saying.
I think it's a conscious decision to slowly just destroy our future, you know, like just the
Michael
children
Bay's
out
doing
there.
it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. It seems like a specific charge to just kind of unwind what was already, you know, awesome with us growing up, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, there's more educational stuff now than anything, like wildlife shows and stuff like that.
Jeez, education.
This is Saturday
needs
mornings.
that.
This is Saturday mornings, gentlemen. There is no education going on over here.
Come
we want to hear
on.
stuff blow up.
Yeah. I'm not there to use my brain cells. I just want to watch something funny.
We get too much brain cells during school. That needs to stop.
Yeah, come on, man. Wile E. Coyote, rocket shoes. I mean, it's just brainless stuff, you know.
Oh my God. But, gentlemen, let's get right into it, okay? This is episode 6. Let's jump into what's hot on IGN right now, okay? So, we had some news break out about Mortal Kombat X. So, it's been officially now revealed, officially by Mr. Ed Boon, the creator of Mortal Kombat, that Kung Lao is coming back as a playable character in Mortal Kombat X. So, Peter, what do you think? Do you like Kung Lao? Do you like the hat?
I like the hat. I wish I had one so I can just cut trees down or something, or shoot my neighbor's cat or hit my neighbor's cat with my hat. But yeah,
don't play fetch with your dog.
Don't play fetch.
What the hell, Petey? That's so dark.
Wasn't that a fatality actually?
Yes, no, it was a friendship.
Oh, okay.
It was a friendship.
Yeah, but I think it's cool. You know, I haven't played Mortal Kombat in a really long time. I think the last one I really played was 3 for Super Nintendo. So I'm due. But I think it's cool. You know, Kung Lao's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, he's alright. He's not bad.
Whatever.
I don't know about wearing the hat, like actually wearing it though, but that's me.
I would totally wear that.
I've already told
yeah.
Jake James, man, I can't even pull off a fedora, so I could not pull off that hat. Definitely.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a live episode of the IGN All-Star Community Podcast where we're all going to just walk in with fedoras a la Smooth Criminal with Michael Jackson. We're going to make that happen. It's going to be dope. We're going to look at suits. We're going to get ties.
But that decision, I mean, it seems like, I don't know, I kind of expected that. You know, he's a very iconic character. It was something where I didn't even think that they had to hold off on saying that he's going to return. I almost kind of assumed, yeah, he should probably be in it, you know?
You know what I think it's come down to, though? You know, and just on honestly, sorry to cut you off, Pete, but you know what I think it comes down to? It's just like, you know, the roster for the last game, you know, was pretty big. And I think this one, I think they said that they were going to limit down the roster a little bit. I don't know if they were going to get more characters than the previous Mortal Kombat entry. So pretty much the question now is like, okay, who gets cut? Because the last game was all about reimagining the first 3 Mortal Kombat games and that storyline and kind of mixing it up and such. So you had a lot of the big heavy hitters of the franchise showing up in some form or fashion. And what the assumption was for this sequel, or what we believe was going to come down the line, was that it was going to go into the MK Gold territory or Mortal Kombat 4 territory, you know, outside of like, you know, that series of games where it was like on the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation 1.
Right.
Now it seems like they've gone really far into the future and totally changed things up. So who knows? I think like, you know, some major key players might not be coming back.
Well, I wouldn't really even go as far as to say that, because I think something like this is more of like a marketing tactic. Like with Smash Bros, did they really have to announce that, you know, oh, Ness is a playable character, or Donkey Kong's coming back, or, you know, that kind of thing? I feel like it's more of just to kind of build up hype to
for sure.
For the video game. I mean, like Ryan said, I don't really even think they had to necessarily say Kung Lao's coming back to Mortal Kombat.
Would you say that's hype though? Would you say Kung Lao is? Well, no,
I would say it's more of like creating the awareness of the video game still. Because when was the last time anyone has seen anything from Mortal Kombat?
E3. That was the last time because people actually got to play it at E3, and they got to play with new characters, bro.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I feel like the announcement of Kung Lao was more of just kind of recreating that awareness of the video game's existence and just saying, oh, don't forget about Mortal Kombat X. Here's Kung Lao.
Well, no, they released a new character probably about a week prior, though. It was the shaman or whatever kind of guy that they brought into the mix. So yeah, I think it's still pretty relevant. I guess kind of figured it was something where these new characters, like those are the big reveals or things like that, or like the fan favorites of like having possibly Freddy Krueger be involved with Mortal Kombat coming back or things like that. I figured it would be something like that would pack some punch, or like Goro's dog being playable or something. I don't know.
You know what I think is interesting, though? Because this game takes so far into the future, I think also revealing some of these like classic characters is like, okay, what happened to them in that big time gap between Mortal Kombat 9 and this one? Like that, I think that's what's interesting, because if you look at Kung Lao now, granted he still has some design choices that are very similar to his old designs from like MK2 and 3 and such, but he's visibly different, and vastly different than his last iteration from MK9. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Kung Lao die in Mortal Kombat 9? At one point in the story,
I think they
if
all
you guys
died.
remember,
Everybody
there was a thing where they all died, but
There
like in
was
the
a
ultimate
story?
timeline, something happened in that time. Like if you go through the story mode and such, like he actually dies, and right in front of Liu Kang's eyes, and then Liu Kang has to stop. I think it was either Shang Tsung or actual Shao Kahn in order to be kind of like the savior of that particular tournament. But like now with him coming back, like there's got to be some sort of plot exposition or some sort of stuff like explaining why he's different than what he was before.
They need to have
That's
a
part
mode.
of the charm.
They need to have a mode where you get to play in the old style, like digitized, like real actors and stuff. Like that needs to be like a hidden like mode. That's my opinion.
I would totally be down for a reboot of the original Mortal Kombat like that, done now,
Just cleaner,
with, like,
crisper.
Cleaner in HD. Given remixed music and stuff. I would be totally down for that.
Oh yeah,
because it reminds me of like was it HD remix for Street Fighter 2 and the way that was handled. Yeah. But I feel like Mortal Kombat could benefit from the same thing, but just like done a little bit better and taking some of the nuances of what Street Fighter 2 HD remix did wrong and kind of expand upon it for MK, because I feel MK is so rich in that universe and so rich in like some of the stuff that they could hark back to and give like little Easter eggs. That'd be awesome.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that could be a train wreck, but I like train wrecks, so I mean, it's like, I don't know, I think it could be fun.
I think that's epic win.
So you guys wouldn't be as excited if they just said, okay guys, well, Mortal Kombat X is coming out and here's 1, 2, and 3 with it, with no re-res or anything like that. It's just you get those games. Like, would you not be as happy as
I'd be fine.
It'd be okay.
I'd be fine.
Right, but you wouldn't be as excited though, right?
I'd be excited for MK2 because that's where the pinnacle of the series was. I'm not really a big fan of MK3, but if they included that as like an extra bonus, like the original MK trilogy that they had on PSN, I'd be totally down for that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Two for me was kind of the pinnacle for me, and then what did they add the run button in on 3?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, the combo system and the run button.
Yeah,
That garbage system.
No, it is not garbage. Oh my goodness, that was like my favorite Mortal Kombat, just because of Sub-Zero and the insane combo system.
Combos were pretty cool. I couldn't get down with the run button for some reason.
I couldn't get behind it. It was just for me. But gentlemen, there's some more important news to talk about than Mortal Kombat. As much as I love it. We got some big news in the world of comics that we got to talk about that broke out the other day, that the internet almost broke, and I think it'll probably break if this comes to light. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, or just Batman vs. Superman in general, is getting split up into 2 movies. Now, this is all based on rumor. We have to say it's a rumor, and it could be potentially fake, but this leak came from, I think it's Ain't It Cool News, actually had a blurry picture for the ending, or money shot or screenshot of the end of a trailer that's supposed to be released later on this year that details that Batman vs. Superman is going to get split up into part 1 and part 2. Part 1 being Enter the Night, which I'm guessing is like an introduction to Batman, and then part 2, the conclusion, being called Dawn of Justice, which I'm guessing is going to lead right into the Justice League. Sure. So, thoughts, guys? What do you think of this?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, okay. I'm not about that life. There's no way. I don't know. As much as I like superhero movies, most of them, I'm not a fan of this splitting it up and dragging it on and having this story just keep kind of linger on just so you could put two movies into it. I rarely feel like they spend that time well. I always feel like somewhere along the line there's a good chunk of 30-40 minutes where it just goes on and there's nothing that's progressing the story. So in my opinion, I don't want to be cynical and be like, yeah, it's all for the money, but I just feel like it rarely hits the target that they intended to do with them.
Yeah, I don't care about being a cynic. I'll say it. Like, I think it's all about the money. Like,
well, there you go.
It's the same thing with with the Twilight stuff,
and even the Hobbit. The Hobbit's a split into 3 movies.
You should have given a different example to start off on that one there.
Oh God,
cred just went down.
Harry Potter.
Whatever. Anyways, so like with this, I mean, I'm really interested with the Batman aspect of the movie. I don't really know too much with Superman, but I feel like the movie better be really good. You know, if they're gonna stretch it out, like it better be. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it. It better be really good. Like there has to be a reason for it to be.
Here's the thing: the logic. I'm kind of thinking about it because I think DC is taking a lot of nods and a lot of inspiration for what Marvel's doing. Because remember, Marvel not too long ago revealed their Phase 3 plans, and the Avengers 3, which is Avengers Infinity War, is getting split up into 2 parts, both in 2018 and 2019. With this, I think it's because also not only do they want to introduce Ben Affleck's interpretation of Batman and give him time to like shine, to really kind of be fleshed out and such, which I'm all for, but also to kind of tell this big story, because Batman and Superman, you could get a lot of story out of them just together. They're so different from each other as far as being heroes. One basks in the light, one is in the shadows of darkness, and they have different ideologies and philosophies about fighting the good fight, taking on crime and protecting the people of their respective cities. But what I think it also, and much like what you guys are saying, I think it's all about the money. If they could actually spread it out and actually, maximize the amount of not only profit, but the amount of exposure to kind of get back into the league and back to the game of things against Marvel. Because, again, Marvel right now is the king of superhero movies. They have a clear-cut plan. They have a game plan over the next, 4 or 5 years that's just going to print money for a lot of people because people are going to go see these films. Mm-hmm. But with the thing that's getting to me, though, and why I think this is, a little bit suspicious and suspect, is that Enter the Night, which is supposed to be part 1 of this, is supposed to be coming out this October, which is what they show on the little image that you could see now on IGN, on the story about it, where it says part 1 is supposed to be coming out in October of this year, and then next year is when part 2 is supposed to come out. I believe it's in November or December, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that's way too soon. I don't think that the movie's that far along. I can understand if they have a lot of content as far as a script is concerned, but I wouldn't expect them to split it up like that, so soon. And then to get part 2 only a year later, something sounds a little bit up, and that's totally contradictory to the original plan, which was to have this movie be the tentpole film for the Justice League, and then over the next couple years start moving into the Justice League territory. Because remember, Wonder Woman is supposed to be in this film, as well as a bunch of other Leaguers. My guess that if this is true, then part 1 ends with Wonder Woman showing up, and then part 2 is like the conclusion of that.
Yeah, I don't know. They should totally Hobbit it and be like, Wonder Woman shows up in the movie, and then something's unresolved, and then 10 minutes into the next film, it just gets resolved. And you're like, hey, that could have been wrapped up in that first movie there.
Yeah, I know, right?
But, oh well.
I mean, are you guys getting tired of superhero movies, or are you really into them?
Heck no.
Really?
I'm all in. Like,
see yourself out, sir.
No,
see yourself out.
I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy not too long ago again, and I'm so hyped for it. And then I saw all the plans, for this year, going into the next few years for Marvel, and I'm hyped as hell.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was okay. I was okay with Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I didn't think it was a great movie. I thought the beginning was awesome, and then it just turned into like okay, that was fun.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. I think that's what a lot of these superhero movies are going to be. But at least for Marvel, when you start getting to those big culmination movies, which is like Avengers 2, Avengers 3, part 1 and part 2, that's when things are really going to start coming together, because it's all about all these characters from these different movies and these different titles, or, kind of like in that Marvel comic booky type of way, are coming together for the first time. And that's what's, the big pull for that is going to be the dynamic between all these heroes here and there dealing with this huge, threat to civilization.
Comic booky.
DC, though, Yeah, with DC though, I think it's much more is that they're always going to be in the lines, in the shadow of Marvel, trying to constantly prove themselves because they have iconic characters. But I feel like it's been such a mixed bag in the cinematic department in the movie theaters with like how the way that the characters have been handled. Like look at Green Lantern. Green Lantern could have been an awesome movie, but just because of script problems and a couple other factors here and there, the movie ended up being a disaster, really stalling DC in the movieverse. But if you look at DC animated movies are freaking fantastic.
Yeah,
like, it's pretty nuts.
That was definitely
overall. I mean, who knows how this is going to turn out? Hopefully within the next I want to say a couple months we get some clarification. If not at Comic-Con, what the deal is. If not another trailer, because apparently this new trailer that this image is from is supposed to drop sometime in March or April. But we'll see what happens.
I mean, we could gripe. I mean, even if it's nothing that I don't really care for, but even if it does happen, I'm going to see the two movies anyway.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, I mean, it's not a big deal. You're right. And that's the bottom line of it, is that's something that you'd pay for. It's just, I hate that idea. I think a lot of it is, some of these superhero films haven't been as thick and as rich in character development as I think they hope to be. And I think they just squander that time. And so having that spread across two movies when one movie hasn't even been able to really capture that it's rare that one movie does it, I don't know. To me, that just seems, I don't know. It seems very, very much useless, especially with somebody who's really poor. Definitely. Not naming any names, but somebody who's really something? Poor who rhymes with Brian Falmer.
One little key thing I should add that also, again, if you're a DC movie fan or just a DC fan in general, this was the big pull way back when, a couple years ago, before all this stuff started dropping about Batman versus Superman. This was supposed to be the Superman sequel. This wasn't really supposed originally to be turning into a Justice League movie, and look what's happened. Pretty much, Superman in general has taken a back seat, and now this is being a push not only for a reimagining of Batman, but also just the kind of, the pitch for a Justice League movie. And that's kind of a shame, because a lot of people are Superman fans, granted, however you are, in the world of comics, but it just goes to show you, just how disorganized a little bit DC is in the movie realm.
Yeah. Or it could be, but I think they have some ground to catch up, and maybe they felt like this was the best way to try to do it, was to start combining this. So rather than having Superman have his own sequel, just kind of like how most superheroes have been getting the treatment.
He's going to get it, though. That's the crazy thing.
Oh, no, totally. But he's not going to get it immediately. They're automatically going to go ahead and say, okay, he's established. We're going to go ahead and now move on to incorporating, the newer Batman into it. Get Ben Affleck in here, and then we're going to immediately shoehorn into Justice League. So it's almost like this quick kickstart of just getting this realm together, which I felt like maybe they lost a lot of ground where they should have already been there.
Definitely. Very true. But moving on from there, guys, let's talk about this new podcast over on IGN, the new Destiny podcast called Fire Team Chat. Now, Pete, you expressed some interest in this podcast. Why is that? Are you a big fan of Destiny?
I'm not, actually. The only portion of Destiny that I played was the beta that was open to everybody before it launched, and that was the only thing I had played. So I thought it was pretty cool. I got that whole Halo Call of Duty vibe, and then I put it down, and that was it. But just recently, this week, the guys over at IGN, it was Jose and Destin and Alfredo, and they were just chatting about it, and that really caught my interest. And it's kind of making me want to go down to the store and buy a copy of it, just because of, they're saying it's supposed to have like a 10-year lifespan, and I don't know if that's true, and I don't even know if Bungie can pull that off, but it definitely reassured me that the video game's going to be around for a while. So if you haven't jumped into it yet, now's your chance. And now the fact that there's these individuals who have a podcast about it kind of makes me want to be more immersed with the IP, and I thought it was pretty cool. It's definitely a different language to me because I have no idea what they're talking about, but it's but it's that interesting to where I want to be involved, and I feel like they're doing a great job, and I can't wait for the next episode.
Yeah, good guys spearheading it, and so it definitely should be interesting moving forward where they go with it or what they do. I have very limited time with Destiny. I think I had like a level 6 Warlock, and then I just gave up. And it wasn't necessarily that I just gave up, like everything was hopeless or repetitive. I think it was more that I generally haven't got into the Halo mechanics as much since Halo 2. That's how old I'm going to be going back there. But I just, the floatiness of it, like it just felt like a Halo game, which honestly a lot of people are like, that's a good thing. I don't know. I don't respond, I guess, well with those types of mechanics with it, but it was fun. It was a fun game, but it just nothing really story-wise that kind of got you invested in who you were playing or why you were playing. What the hell are you shooting these people for? They just, because they're shooting back at you? Okay, we'll shoot them then. It's a lot of those things that really, it didn't get me wrapped up into it, that it was easy just to let it go.
Yeah, definitely. You know what it reminds me of? You remember that podcast, Transporter Room, the Star Trek podcast? Like one of those like specific specialty podcasts, you know, for that group of fans. This is what that's kind of reminds me of. Because again, I haven't really played Destiny as much as like I probably played less than any of you guys, you know, on here because I don't have a next gen console to kind of really dive into it like that. I think that's where that game really shines and such. But it's interesting to kind of, you know, hear more about it from like experts that have really kind of dived into it and are really going to take the time to kind of explore a lot of the nuances and really explore that community and why that game's so good. Right. And plus, since the game is going to be again over 10 years, or at least that's what the plan is, the lifespan of a game like this, it's going to be see like what this turns into over time, like over the next year or two.
I don't even know if the current gen system is going to last 10 years.
No, it's not.
I mean, come on. Jeez.
Give them like a year or two and then it's a wrap.
I don't know, man. We'll see.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really enjoy listening to the podcast, and if you guys out there,
I enjoy listening to you, PD Lolo.
Well, thank you. No, but, if you guys haven't checked it out, I know it's on IGN. Just type Fireteam Chat and give it a listen. It's about roughly 30 to 40 minutes. If you're a huge Destiny fan and you're listening to this podcast, well, thank you for listening to the podcast. But head over to IGN and definitely check it out. It's definitely worth it.
Nice. But one more little piece of news of what's hot on IGN. There's an IGN free game of the month, Valiant Hearts. Mm-hmm. Now, I know, Pete, you love this game.
Yes.
Everybody
history!
As I rip off my shirt like Hulk Hogan.
Flipping a table. Peter was over here flipping tables for Valiant Hearts.
Yeah, I love this game.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad this is free, though, because I just bought this on the Christmas break. I was like, hey, this is my New Year's resolution. I'm going to catch up on mobile games that I haven't had a chance to, and that was just kind of one of them. I didn't have the system to download at the time, so I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and buy this one. Come back into work first weekend, and you're like, hey, this is free. It's like, all right.
That's how I feel about PlayStation Plus sometimes. Like that happened to me with well, which game was it? It was one of the like PlayStation Vita games that I like really loved from like early in the PlayStation Vita's life cycle, and then all of a sudden it went on PlayStation Plus after I bought it. Like not even about a couple weeks prior, and I was like, man.
Yeah, but it's a good game. It's a good game. I agree.
Yeah, it's got really cool QTE elements into it. Not so much like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones and Tales from the Borderlands, but you know, it's really got a great story to it. It's very emotional. It's World War I based video game, and it wasn't a very popular war. And I feel like this video game really captures the emotion put into the war as well as the individuals affected by it. So if you guys haven't checked it out, it's free, and that too could be found on IGN's website, IGN.com, and then just type in Valiant Hearts or free game of the month, and you can find it there. It's for Android and iDevices, so tablets and phones. So it's free, guys. You should definitely go check it out.
Yeah, it's a charming game. Very, very artistically. I guess artistically, the aesthetics of it are actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was made by Ubisoft, the same guys who put together Child of Light. It's got that same aesthetic. Yeah, it's good.
Not a lot of World War I games, so this is a nice change of pace, because away from like all the World War II stuff or the Vietnam War stuff or Korean War things that like pop up here, or even the futuristic stuff, because we've had so much futuristic warfare here and there. This is a nice change of pace and a different type of game that isn't an FPS.
He doesn't have a jetpack, I noticed. I guess they didn't have those in World War
There's no kill streaks in here.
No,
they might have had them back in the day, but just not. It was under wraps. Yeah,
I think the Rocketeer kind of delved a little bit into that, didn't he?
I'm not
sure. I love the Rocketeer. That's a fun movie.
Yeah, it's great. Come on. That's your homework assignment this weekend.
I'll write it down.
Jeez, I had Jennifer Connelly in it, for crying out loud.
He had a rocket.
He had a rocket on his back.
on his back.
And a cool
and it's based
helmet.
off a comic book.
Yeah.
It's based off a comic book,
Yes,
which
it
is
is.
awesome.
Yep.
Which is pretty sweet.
Sorry, I digress.
Yes. Well, anyway, if you haven't already, check out, IGN's free game of the month, Valiant Hearts.
Yes.
Let us know what you guys think of the game, not only, was it over Twitter in the comments, but also write to us over at allstarpod@hotmail.com. Let us know your thoughts about Valiant Hearts and how you guys enjoyed the game. That being said, though, let's dive into our big topic today.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the best video game characters ever. Like some of our favorites, the creme de la creme, the ones that make the cut, that are always going to be around, that we love to gravitate to. So let's go down the panel here. Let's start off with Pete. Tell me, what's your favorite video game character, or some of your favorites that you've enjoyed throughout the years?
Definitely Link, my boy from Hyrule. Can't forget about him.
Who would have guessed Nintendo?
Yeah, I'm a big Nintendo nerd, if you guys haven't noticed yet. So it's definitely Link. I don't know. The Legend of Zelda was the first video game that I played for NES. In fact, the first video game I've ever played. And I think I accidentally deleted my cousin's save. And I'll never forget that because she was pretty pissed. But I digress.
I'd be pissed too.
It's happened to everybody, I'm sure. So, but yeah,
Nope, not once.
He's very careful with his saves.
Link has got to be my favorite. If not Link, definitely Pikachu, another Pokemon IP or Nintendo IP. I'm a big Pokemon fan, and there's something about Pikachu, and then especially going into the Pokemon cartoon. Really big into the first season, and then after that I kind of, did other stuff. But yeah, Link and Pikachu all the way.
Nice. What about you, Ryan? Some of your favorites, characters you've enjoyed throughout the years, that have really stuck with you or made some sort of impact on you.
I guess this one is a bit.
It's open-ended.
No. I'm just saying this one probably be more unexpected for me, but I really, really, really like Yoshi.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what
like
ever
the green
since
dinosaur?
Ever since Super Mario World, he's just been my ride or die. So anything where it's like, hey, I'm gonna totally. If there's a game that has him in it, I'm gonna play it. And I don't know what it is. He's just so damn charming.
He comes in different colors.
Yeah, he does that too. So yeah,
he's got an outfit for every occasion. I mean, he's that guy that you want him to throw an egg. You want him to do something fun like that. It's cool.
Yeah. So I would say that. I mean, I guess when I think iconic, also I think of ones that just have a kind of an impact on me stylistically, and that's probably because I like design or I like things of that nature. So I always think of villains as well. So like Pyramid Head, I remember just the pull that had on me, just seeing that dude and just wanted to piss my pants just being in the same room as that guy. It was like little things like that just kind of I don't know, just stick with me. So not that he's been in any game recently. His career has really gone downhill.
That's true. There's been a lot of iconic characters' careers that have really gone downhill.
Yeah.
To the deep, crevices, the pits. I'm looking at you, Sonic.
It's
good when you started.
I do like Sonic. I do like Sonic as well. Yeah, definitely.
I love Sonic. Sonic started everything for me, but it's just like, man, you have not aged well.
Samus, I think we're about due for another Metroid.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, that's another one. Man, I'm swaying Nintendo back again. Jeez.
Come to the light.
He is rubbing off on you.
Yeah, he is.
The Nintendo force is assembling.
It's strong.
Yes. But, I mean, if I really had to choose one character that's, been, one of my favorites I've always kind of gravitated to here and there, even, the most unorthodox of times, it'd be Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Because, for me, that's, Kingdom Hearts was one of those games that was very unexpected at the time when I played it, and it was just, it made such an impact, going into it, I didn't know what to expect, and just the whole idea of combining Disney characters with anything at the time, it was automatically the nuance was that it was kiddie, and that was the big stereotype. But once you played it and you saw what it had to offer, you got so engaged into it. But what really did it for me for Sora is that every single game that I played in that series, Sora kind of grows and he gets older, and I've grown with him throughout the years. When I first started, I was towards the middle end of high school when I played Kingdom Hearts 1. And, now having played through all the games and all the spin-offs and such, and now we're finally getting a Kingdom Hearts 3, which is supposed to be kind of like the bookend final iteration of like a particular saga for that series. I feel like I've seen like this character grow from like his humble beginnings,
Right.
turning into something like vastly special. And I don't get a lot of that from a lot of other characters. I don't get that from Mario. I don't get that from Sonic. I don't get that from a lot of other like mascot characters where they're always primarily staying the same.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, you have literally seen them grow, not only in kind of thickness of story, but polygon count. I mean, so it's definitely, it's definitely. I think one kind of came to mind as well as far as character, like just that I always gravitate towards and always want to follow Joker, regardless of where he's showing up in, whether it's a movie, comic, or Rocksteady, who's actually been doing such an awesome job with everything. I don't know, like I'm drawn to that character so much that it's always a go-to. Like I have to check out and see how he's done, like how he was voiced, how he was dressed, how do they have him acting, and just seeing that. And it hasn't always been a consistent road, but it's one that honestly it's always been interesting. It's always grabbed me to to keep watching.
Who's your favorite Joker?
Ooh,
that's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean the ones that usually comes to mind, honestly, like whenever I just think of in all of the iterations, I really like Mark Hamill's Joker in animated series Batman, and I think it was because mainly my age at the time and being very impressionable and whatever. But I don't know, just that laugh, man. It fit with everything that show was about. I mean, it just kind of it fit it was good. It was good.
He's the most fun Joker. Like for me, I'm all about that Jack Nicholson. That Jack. Sure. That's such an awesome performance. Just that was such a different take on the character since Cesar Romero at the time.
Right.
But like Mark Hamill was just like Mark Hamill is the Joker to me that makes all those fun wisecracks. No matter what's going on, he always has that great sense of humor that just makes you want to giggle. Like I never got that from a lot of the other iterations of the Joker. Even Cesar Romero, where he was very tongue-in-cheek funny. He was always laughing and such, but you never got that giggle from him.
No, he was like perverted. He was like perverted uncle though, like because he would do that thing. He was like, hoo, 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 it just kind of I don't know. Like
he was that '50s Joker.
No, he creeped me out.
But Mark Hamill always had a good saying for something that was going on. His version of the Joker would just make you laugh at just the most ridiculous of things, like everything. Even like the more recent movies that he did for like Batman Beyond, it always had that same type of like charm to him, and I love that in that version of the Joker.
I mean, the two that stand out to me definitely is Heath Ledger's in that Batman movie. The guy was insane, like completely insane in the movie, and I really liked it because I'm completely insane. But him and Troy Baker. Troy Baker did a line from
that's right.
I think it was like Comic-Con, and I was listening to that one day at work, and I had to stop for a second because man, it just sounded so man, I don't even know how to phrase it. It sounded like he was talking normally as a Joker, and just what the Joker was saying was completely nuts. It was bizarre. Right. Only something the Joker would say, and it made sense. And I was like, damn, he was perfect for the part. And I don't know if he's coming back to play Joker in the new Batman video game, but
Arkham Knight.
Yeah, but man, those two guys were the ones that stood out.
Troy is talented, man. He's a talented dude.
Mm-hmm.
Troy's that dude.
We're on first name basis, by the way.
Nice.
Just letting you guys know that.
But one thing I will say though, like if Joker, in the new Batman Arkham Knight was actually supposed to come back, I would still definitely want it to be Mark Hamill, because I feel like Mark Hamill in all the major Rocksteady games, he's kind of been the Joker, and that's like obviously it's been his thing, with him and Kevin Conroy, voicing Batman and such. Like that'll be like a perfect, like great way to bookend that series done by Rocksteady.
Sure.
Just kind of like end it off, the same way that they like kept it through most of the games and such, because I find it funny, and I know somebody brought it up at one point in a podcast I was listening to, how Arkham Origins is like the bastard child of that series.
Yeah.
Like Rocksteady does not even really acknowledge, that game per se, what was going on and such. And in that one, the performance for the Joker in that game was still pretty good. I'll give it credit for that.
Why is it the bastard child? Because I played Arkham City, and then I played Arkham Asylum. I didn't play them to completion, but I did play them. But I never played Origins, so I hear this all the time, especially from you, JJ, that it's the bastard child. I want to know
let me explain.
Mostly from you, JJ.
let me explain it for you like this way. Okay, number one, it's not a it's. There's this thing amongst fans of like the series and stuff that number one, it wasn't done by Rocksteady, which I think is a little bit of a haphazard type of like argument to that. But what I think it was where for Arkham Origins, it didn't have that same sort of like special charm to it, and a lot of like the same respect for the world of Batman and like all the stuff that about Batman and what Batman is essentially that the other two Arkham games did. And you saw that with Rocksteady, both, especially in Arkham City, where there was a lot of nods to a lot of different things in the Batman universe that, either they did or didn't, contribute to the main like story that was playing out, but there was still such a reverence for the character of Batman and everything about his origins, about his story, about what type of like, superhero he is. You really got that sense in the Rocksteady games. And in Arkham Origins, you really didn't see that. It was much more kind of a thing, either it felt more to whet our appetites for what Arkham Knight's going to be, or it was just like they were trying to constantly play catch up for what Rocksteady was kind of, doing on there. With that being said, that's why it's usually considered like a game that's kind of like, put off to the side. And that's why even Rocksteady refers to it as the trilogy of Batman games, not the quadrilogy.
Right. Wait, did you just get out of the bathroom, Pete?
No.
No, there was a door that was slamming.
I was like,
that's the symbolism for this issue of being closed, of why Batman Arkham Origins is probably one of the worst Batman Arkham games. The door was shut on that game, but
very nice, very nice. It was a metaphor. Very, very good. Well done.
Very, very nice time to metaphor at that. But that being said, let's get into some IGN blogs. Let's talk about some blog stuff that's been going on over in the MyIGN. So there was this interesting blog that was posted up by I apologize if I mess up this name, Dogendo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
I think the D is silent. The D silent.
Was it Dojno?
Don't you know? Don't you know? No, I don't know.
I feel like maybe it's Japanese, but I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to sound cool
Ryan
like that.
Suddenly turns
either way,
turns into the mom from Bobby's World.
Right. That was such a great show.
This blog post is actually really interesting. It's actually a response or a rebuttal to an article that was written by Dan Stapleton on IGN that was talking about, a lot of the different stuff going on with DLC patches and day one, online only experiences, for different games that have been released on much more of the newer platforms like, the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4. One of the big games that kind of, gets referenced to between both Dan's article and this blog post is Assassin's Creed Unity, and it's an interesting article because he kind of say that he agrees most of with a lot of what Dan was saying, except for the fact that when reviewers actually get their review copies of games, he feels that rather than installing the patches of what, the different publishers are releasing on that day one or even beforehand, that reviewers or different outlets should review games of what they are straight out of the box. No patches, nothing like that. Strictly what's in the box is what should be reviewed. Now, let me ask you guys, do you necessarily agree with this or disagree, or what do you guys think of the idea of patches for games, or just the experience of what we've been getting over the last, I want to say, couple of years with the new consoles being out?
Go ahead, Petey.
I don't really know. Like it's hard, right? Because if you're writing for an outlet and you've received a video game and it's like a week or two before launch, you have to kind of keep that embargo. In my opinion, that's how I work. I never break it. But it's kind of like that agreement, right? And you heard people from IGN and multiple outlets say that it's kind of like this agreement that, hey, publisher X is going to give you a game to review. Since we're giving you the game early, do us a favor and respect the embargo. and I understand where this guy's coming from as well, where he's saying like you guys should just review games as is. But, I mean, you kind of have to look at it from multiple perspectives. There isn't, like, one answer to it, right? Because what if someone's reviewing a game and, perfect example, Smash Bros. People got the video game early for Wii U, but Nintendo never flipped the switch for online capability. So, John Smith can write a review for Smash Bros., but completely leave out the multiplayer aspect of the video game, but then that's more work for this individual to have to go back and write the review on the multiplayer thing. So it's either you do that and give yourself more work, or you just not write the review, or I kind of lost my train of thought for a second, but but it's just,
you were rolling good. Don't worry,
it really just comes down to ethics, and it's an issue that's kind of floating around the internet that I choose not to partake in most of the time, because as long as I know where I stand as an individual, that's really what matters to me. But I don't know, man. It's tough. Video game developers are always going to release video games that don't work. That's just the way it is now. We're no longer in the era of taking home a cartridge from the store, right, or even like a PlayStation disc, or PS1 or 2 disc home, and popping it in and just playing it for what it is. Those who grew up in the 80s are familiar, and even the 90s are familiar with playing video games that just don't work, and we just kind of have to work around that. Right, but now it's kind of like an unfortunate reality that we live in an era where video games are just releasing like Master Chief Collection and Assassin's Creed Unity, and if you check out Dojindo's
Don't you know?
Yeah, don't you know? If you check out his blog post, you'll see an image of Assassin's Creed Unity, and the face is just disgusting. Like there's no skin texture or anything, and that's just the way it is now, guys. So for those who write reviews, you kind of have to pick and choose your battles and take it for what it's worth.
I think ideally it's a good point that he makes, because ideally we want to have a full-fledged game when it gets into our lap, and not having that, I think it's not that we're encouraging. I think these developers somehow that you keep giving us half-baked goods, and then you do a day one patch and rely on that heavily. But I think that's, as you kind of said, that's where we're living at now. This is how things are. Is that things are moving at a rapid pace. People want these games ASAP. The reviewer has to have a copy in time to start ahead of the release of it, so that way they get proper marketing and get that out there. As far as like having people an opinion, should I buy it, should I not? So I think ideally, I get his point of where he's going with it, is that, it would be nice to not have half-baked goods, sent to you and saying, hey, the rest will come later. But I think realistically, though, from the reviewer side of it, is that, that's a lot of added man hours to say, okay, I'm going to just review this part of it, set out a review, and then get totally bashed because it's like, no, wait, this is already fixed when I got it, so why am I reading this review? So if somebody that has an internet connection already bought the game, got the day one update, and then we're sending out a review of what we had prior to that, I don't think that's very fair to somebody with that. So it's skewed. I don't think that eliminates his opinion on it. I think that would be great if that was the industry and how things worked, is that you did get those full copies. But I really just don't think, with how fast this industry is moving, that's kind of realistic.
Mm-hmm.
True. I mean, here's the thing. I think it really comes down to that you want to give them a review that's going to be based off the experience of what they're going to see when they pop the game into their console, when they boot it up on their console.
Right.
Now, obviously, a lot of people are very annoyed, myself included, when you buy a game, especially if you spend $60 and the game doesn't work right out of the box, like there's something broken with it. And I don't even think the stuff that happened with Unity and such, it wasn't a widespread thing. It obviously was prevalent. Like, I think somebody that came on has actually looked it up and said that it was like a small minority of people that had that on the PC version, and there wasn't certain drivers and stuff that weren't installed or whatnot. You got that same type of effect. And then it being the internet, it blows up everything to like the most epic of proportions.
Oh, yeah.
But it really comes down to, is like, okay, the review and the way that, it's going to be critiqued is going to be based off of, like, okay, what is this person going to see when they put it in their console? Is this the experience of what they're going to get? With the example that you gave, Pete, about Smash Brothers, I think it's totally valid and totally worth actually like not putting out the review like straight out like that, because obviously for a game like Smash Brothers, one of the first things you're going to do besides maybe go and play classic mode or stuff is that you're going to jump online. That's a big part of the game. That's a big part of the experience that a consumer or any sort of gamer is going to want to dive into. It really gets into more like which game specifically like that applies to. It really gets to like, okay, what type of a game you're actually reviewing, what type of a game that a person's actually going to get.
Well, Master Chief Collection, right? Yeah. Like Master Chief was the same thing. Was that the online proportion of the multiplayer? They like IGN. Shout out. They delayed the review of it because it's like, well, no, that's going to be part of your experience, and if they're having troubles right at the start of it, it's tough to gauge somebody and say, hey, this multiplayer is pretty cool, you know, if you're not even really getting to play any matches or things like that. So it's things like that.
Definitely.
Like, yeah, you've got to delay it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, too. Destiny was the same thing. Now, there has to be said, though, there needs to be a line drawn in the sand. Like, at some point, it was like, okay,
how long
this
do you
is
give
not
them?
going to get... If this is not going to get fixed up, or is it not going to get fixed to the point where we believe it would be ideal, then obviously you have to mention that. You have to observe that.
Right.
You have to call a spade a spade.
Right.
But in the case of, like, Destiny, which, had massive server overload, because I'm pretty sure they had expectations, but not like that crazy of expectations they were going to get for all the people jumping up online to play that game. So obviously, much like any other like big MMO or big massively multiplayer online game, they're going to have problems like that. With Master Chief Collection, it was already to a point where even to this date, things haven't still been really fixed to the point where they should be at that point. So you obviously have to mention that. You have to obviously acknowledge that, okay, this game has some sort of issues and such. But where people get bent out of shape, I think, is more in their single-player experiences, or where, like, the experience is much more focused on, a much more, like, narrative-driven type of game, like Assassin's Creed, that has issues that totally break you out of the experience. At least in that case, where Unity is concerned.
Yeah. I don't know.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just...
Now, what are we talking about?
It's just hard for people to, I understand where these individuals come from because they're spending money on video games that they expect to be ready. Like, they're probably thinking, don't launch a video game if it's not ready, Like, I am in all
and that's
favor.
totally valid.
That's
totally valid.
Yeah, like, I don't mind. Like, what was it? CD Projekt Red pushed back Witcher 3, and I was all for it because that game looks so gorgeous. I want that game to look even more beautiful when it comes out. So I'm all on board for delays. It's just...
Here's another perfect example. To piggyback off what you just said, that it's been said a couple times. I believe it was Uncharted 2 or Uncharted 3 got delayed like an extra 6 weeks or 12 weeks or something. That from its initial release, and then within that time, Naughty Dog came out and says like, okay, this is what really allowed the game to become such a great hit of what it was. That we had that extra time to do what we needed to do to make the game awesome. I think that where people also get bent out of shape is that because developers and different publishers are trying to hit like certain benchmarks and release dates and such, getting the game out there, this is why they have such an issue with them. Like, okay, we'll just patch it later and such. But it can obviously be a very big real thing. Something that might be a necessity. Some games. It doesn't make it any, more fun for us as consumers. Don't get me wrong.
But I think the view that we have as consumers, so that's what is changing what our expectations. Because honestly, the developer is under the gun from the publisher. Mm-hmm. So if they're saying that, hey, this is the window you're going to have to hit to get this product out, then they're going to have to start sending those review units out, or those copies out ahead of time in order to make that window that they were set, so that their shareholders at that company can be happy. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot of those working pieces that are there that I think the average consumer, I think they kind of forget, like, hey, no, this is a business. Mm-hmm. Like, they're having to make this money so they can keep their jobs,
right?
So they can
Definitely.
feed their kids,
right.
And so it's those things where it's like, hey, okay, send them what we have here, keep working on it, and these guys work crazy hours, these developers, and so it's just something where it's like, it's not like they're just doing it haphazardly and just throwing up crap and then expecting us to say like, no, give us some time, we'll finish it up, but it's like, they're under the gun as well.
Right. I mean, you guys have to, everybody has to kind of be a little open-minded when it comes to video game development, because like Ryan was just saying, these guys are under the gun here. I mean, they're sacrificing time and energy for this video game away from like families and friends and social life. And they have to get this video game out. I mean, I wonder if anyone asks the guys at Ubisoft, like, hey, did you really want this game to come out by Christmas? I mean, I'm sure they're not.
And I'm pretty sure they would have said no.
But yeah, I mean, like, do you think they want the game to come out there like this? All the energy that they're putting into? Do you think they want it to look like that? So I doubt it, and it's unfortunate. It's business. They got to do what they got to do.
It's business.
Exactly.
That's just, like I said, the unfortunate reality.
It's what's best for business. Mm-hmm. It's best for business. But business or not, Peter, it's about that time.
Yeah, it's about that time, buddy.
It's about that time for the IGN Community Spotlight. So, this week's Community Spotlight, Peter, if you please.
Sure thing.
Go ahead and start. You know it's going to be good.
I'm just kidding. So this week's IGN Community Spotlight individual is Standard Gamer, and he recently wrote up a blog post saying, what will 2015 what will 2014 be remembered for in gaming? And I think we kind of discussed that with the games not working. But what will you guys remember 2014 as?
Nintendo Wii U. I think he puts it.
Oh my god!
I mean, we all keep coming back to Nintendo, but I will say though is that this year specifically was the year that gave you a valid reason to own a Wii U, because you had fantastic games, both first party and technically third party coming out. Mario Kart 8, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Smash Brothers, Bayonetta 2, Hyrule Warriors. You had all these games dropping one after another this year specifically, and it was just not only was that going crazy for the Wii U, but you also had other 3DS games coming out which were fantastic. Zeo Drifter, yeah. Shovel Knight, I mean, granted, Shovel Knight's on all platforms, but like it really first appeared on the Nintendo platforms, and it really, Nintendo really knocked it out the park this year, and Standard Gamer really put it nicely. Like, this was Nintendo's year to really shine out amongst the other platforms. So at this point, if you haven't picked up a Wii U now, like most of these games that I just mentioned, if not some of the other ones that are coming out at the beginning this year, it gives you perfect reason to go out and buy the system.
Mm-hmm. I think on my side of things, and maybe this is what also bleeds into maybe some of the Nintendo, but 2014 was really the year of the little game for me. Like a lot of small, indie, and just also, I mean, even like Child of Light, not necessarily being indie, but just small games that were just kind of just drawn down in maybe scope of things, but had such good play. And so like Valiant Hearts as well, that was one that I was like, man, I need to play it. I keep hearing good stuff about it. So it was always like these little bitty offerings that were just thrown out there that I really kind of appreciated, and it seemed like they stood out a lot for my 2014 at least. But yeah, just kind of quirky games too. Like I love just a good quirky game out there that changes things a bit of how you're playing, or things like what was it, like you had the Binding of Isaac. You had
Shovel Knight. I mean,
yeah, right. So sorry, yeah, you said Shovel Knight.
Velocity 2X.
Yeah, I mean, it's just these little tiny ones, but out of nowhere they just came in. They're just addicting, or they're just fun, and that's sadly, I think, in this. There were some good AAA titles, don't get me wrong, but for some reason those seem to have this bigger weight with 2014, at least for me.
And something too that should be said about 2014? This was the year of such a diverse palette of Game of the Year nominees. Like, if you look at IGN's Game of the Year nominees that
Shout out.
Big different titles that they were choosing, which were the best games of this year. There was such a diverse grouping of titles to choose from. Again, Shovel Knight, Smash Brothers, Bayonetta 2, Dragon Age Inquisition. There's so many good games from so many different genres.
Right.
Destiny. All these different games were so good, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that would stand out for me, really, and we've already touched on it, and I don't want to beat it to death, but it's just the game.
Let's touch it again, Petey.
Okay.
Let's touch it again.
No, I'm just
wow.
It's for me, it's two things. One, to briefly mention it again, is the year of games not working. I was really stoked for Master Chief Collection, and I took the day off from work to play it, and it didn't work. So
that's a violation.
I kind of wasted money on that one, in a sense that I didn't get paid. So yeah, that kind of sucked. But going off of what Jake James was saying, I feel like this was Nintendo's year. I know it's going to totally sound like I'm biased, but
no, not at all. No.
It was totally Nintendo's year. Tons of video games came out. I feel like if you don't have a Wii U, you definitely need one now, and completely disregard the in my opinion, the conversations wanting the gamepad to be justified. I feel just it being a controller is justifiable enough. Yeah, it's a touchpad, but when you're playing a game, are you really gonna be using the touchpad? Do you want to use that? Me personally, I don't. I'm old school. I want to use a controller, and I feel the gamepad, just being a controller itself, is justifiable enough to own one. But definitely tons of great games came out, like we were saying, Smash Bros, Bayonetta 2, little games like Valiant Hearts, which isn't on Nintendo, but Child of Light is. And so I mean, if you don't have a Wii U,
I think 2014 also, I think Telltale Games had about 50% of all games that were out there for the year. I swear they're in everything now, man.
Yeah, they're really all over the place. Well, like they got Game of Thrones now. It's like,
let's talk about that really quick. Let's talk about that really quick. Do you feel like there's too much Telltale now, or is it?
No, because I appreciate a good story. And they're usually pretty good on doing those. So I haven't had a chance to pick up the Game of Thrones yet. That's actually on my list from my resolution of getting the mobile games going here. But yeah, no, I've really been impressed with a lot of the stuff that they do. So I'm not against it, but goodness, man, they are killing it now. I mean,
they're in overdrive right now.
Not in a bad way, but I mean, yeah, they're getting rolling with a lot of their stuff, and I think. Yeah, just hearing of all the things that they have in the works and throughout the 2014, obviously, of that playing out. Like, I guess The Wolf Among Us is supposed to return as well, or is that confirmed yet? Or
I don't remember.
Okay, but yeah, it's but I mean, it's things like that that's just like, man, kudos to them, because I think that 2014 was their year.
Well, they're doing now the Minecraft game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Minecraft. That's right.
Oh man, that's gonna be. I want to know how they're going to do that. If they could pull that off well, I will be very impressed.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how do you make a story out of Minecraft? But here's
they should work on Destiny next.
They
need to get Destiny going next. Because Destiny needs a story.
They made a good story out of, like, Tales of the Borderlands. And I know Greg, at one point before he left, actually said, like, he would love to see them, like, handle, like, a DC Universe type of game, like Invincible, or even a Superman story. I think, like, they have the chops to, like, really make some good stuff happen with something like that. If they were given that license.
Yeah.
Because they're getting everything right now. But still, thanks, Standard Gamer, for the blog post, and, congratulations on being this week's IGN Community Spotlight member. So, that being said, though, gentlemen, Let's get into some listener stuff, listener comments and questions. One question now comes from our winner of the Tomb Raider figurine giveaway, Mr. Caleb Now. He's been writing to the show a lot, which is cool. We always appreciate that.
Yeah.
But he writes into allstarpod@hotmail.com, just like you guys can. He comes out, he goes, "A happy new year to you," and beyond. What's this beyond nonsense? He's over here.
I think it's some internet thing people do. I don't know.
This is nonsense, man.
I don't know.
But either way, he goes, "This subject has been on my mind for some time now. What is the future of games going digital? Will all games soon just be exclusively sold digital? Will retail shops soon close down, such as GameStop? I'd like to know your thoughts about this matter, Mr. Caleb Now." I don't think any of the retail outlets are going to shut down. They're not going to close up shop because a lot of publishers, a lot of different outlets need, those actual retail outlets to actually sell their consoles. That's a big, big deal. But also, I think more stuff is going to go digital, but those particular retail outlets will adapt and start trying to find different ways, kind of like what GameStop is now, trying to sell digital content.
Right. Yeah. I think it will move more into the subscription-based items and things as far as digital goes, but physical will still stay pretty predominant within the industry. I don't think people are ready to get rid of those cases yet.
No,
definitely.
No, I don't think so. I don't think retailers are going anywhere. Like JJ said, the publishers need them to sell their products. So I think if anyone is wondering which route to go between digital or retail, I go digital because it's cheaper. It's $5 cheaper, and I can pre-download it now with Xbox One and play it exactly at midnight, as opposed to going down to the GameStop and waiting in line and waiting an hour to get your copy of Awesome Game X at midnight. So that's what I do.
But isn't that a fun experience, though?
Personally, I used to live it for a couple of years, but it kind of got old after a while.
Wait, you got old after a while? Oh,
getting old there, Pete.
But yeah. No, I mean, I guess people do go down there for the experience and hang out with buddies and going down for the environment, but
I get you. I mean, obviously having it waiting there for you. Yeah. Get off my lawn.
Really, where I think it comes down to, though, and why a lot of different places want digital to be like the forerunner or like the future of how games are distributed, because it cuts into like the middleman, which is GameStop, which is all these other retail outlets. More specifically, it cuts into more used game stuff, because if Sony could have you buy a game directly from the PlayStation Network and actually get that full $39.99 or $49.99 like that, they'll definitely do it, instead of just having to stock things up in GameStop and such. But I don't think it's going to go away because they still need those guys to sell those PlayStation 4s, to sell those Vitas, to sell the PlayStation 3. They need those guys. Again, same thing with like Target, Best Buy, all those. You're still going to see them all over the place selling game-related stuff. And I'm pretty sure they're still going to find out some way to sell used games.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's a big deal. But thanks for that question there, Mr. Caleb. Now, let's get into some comments on the last episode of the podcast. We had a big response from everybody, in the comments section. So we thank you guys a ton for that. And you guys, again, continue to check out the episodes and comments in the comment sections on IGN and my IGN. But this one comes from Miss Lesbian Rose. She goes, my favorite CE... she's talking about collector's editions because we talked about collector's editions on the last episode. But my favorite collector's edition I ever got was the Uncharted 3 one. I got the treasure box, the necklace, the belt buckles, the statue, and the game in a steel case. 2013 Tomb Raider was also pretty good. But I would have swapped the figure out for a statue. And that's from Miss Lesbian Rose. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Again, we talked about it extensively, Pete, about collector's editions, but we never got your thoughts, Ryan. Collector's editions. Good, bad, ugly?
I know. I love them. I love the idea of them. I am poor. So that's about as far as it usually goes for me. It's just like I see them, and I'm glad that they do that because having that incentive of essentially putting that money towards a product or a company, essentially helping feed these people to get more games going out there, I think it's brilliant. I think it does. It drives that incentive as to what differentiates me just getting the digital copy, I guess, as we kind of were talking about before, is that is a game changer for me, at least. If I could afford half of these, like with the upcoming Dark Knight.
Halo 5.
The what? Halo 5.
The Halo 5 Guardians
one. Oh, no,
one.
totally.
It's like $250. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, no, totally. So, it's just like having that little incentive as to just have it, with Arkham Knight is what I meant to say. Gosh, dude, those statues are just awesome. I would love to have a shelf just dedicated to just a bunch of badass statues. But yeah, no, they're usually out of my price range that I kind of just, I look at them with fondness from afar. Kind of like walking into a jewelry store and you're just kind of like, hey, yeah, that is pretty. I can't afford any of this. So
just window shopping.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of imagine what it'd be like just running along the beach with it in your arms and stuff, and then you just kind of get back to reality and be like, oh yeah, I've got an electric bill I got to go pay.
Oh man,
gotta go buy food.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Like I said on the last episode, I think those collector's editions, they're meant to reward you for being a fan.
Exactly.
Like a big thank you. Like, again, they cost a pretty penny. I think some of the better ones have been cost around like the $100, $150 range. Perfect example, like since I mentioned Halo before, Halo 3's helmet. Right, so you couldn't wear the helmet. It still was a pretty good thing for like the $150 that you bought, and you got the game and actually all this DVD and extra stuff. But it rewarded me for being a Halo fan, for going out and putting all that money out there. That's what all collector's editions should do. Not like, be all these different versions like what Watch Dogs did, which was a disaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I applaud them. I honestly, from a marketing standpoint, from rewarding the fan, honestly, I love them. I anytime that breaking news comes out about what's going to be a collector's, I always Google the picture, look at it, and they've always done pretty. I don't remember any collector's edition having a really crappy statue or anything like that. Like they always seem like very well done, and so it makes sense. I like it.
Yeah, but yeah, pretty much collector's editions are pretty cool. Am I right, Pete?
Yeah, they're cool. Kind of pricey, but they're cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you just mad because Nintendo doesn't do them?
I don't.
I
think
Nintendo does them.
Yeah,
but not a lot.
No, they don't, and I haven't seen a collector's edition Nintendo video game since maybe. Oh, jeez.
I have.
Like Metroid
I could actually
Prime
name
Trilogy, but that wasn't necessarily a collector's edition. It had a nice case to it, but that was like the closest it's got.
Here's the thing. I think you guys are wrong, and here's the reason why. Because collector's editions for Nintendo games aren't, including statues and stuff.
They're systems.
The anniversary. No, not even the systems. But, like, some of the anniversary collections for, like, a lot of different games. Like, for example, Super Mario All-Stars or Kirby's Dream Land collection. Like that they had, like, they were celebrating an anniversary. They'll come with like a CD or like an extra DVD or like some extra art book and stuff. Because I remember getting that for Kirby specifically for all the Kirby games, and it was like the game itself was like a museum of stuff, but you also came with like this extra art book and this extra CD case.
I don't know about this Kirby fellow you're talking about.
This little pink puffball. He looks like Jigglypuff, but more cooler.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I think Nintendo's doing it right, actually.
But I mean, they got the most hardcore fans though, and I would think
I
they would
seriously
benefit.
think-
Well, not just
If
that,
they
but
did-
they don't do it
Oh,
as
man.
often as everybody else. Every year, there's going to be
Right.
a new Call of Duty and a collector's edition to it, a hardened edition or
Right.
awesome.
You know where they
Soldier
get it,
edition.
though?
But Nintendo doesn't do it that often, and I think that's why it's so sweet. Is because because of that
Aw.
reason. I love you, Nintendo.
You know where I think they do it though, and where they get you, and they kind of get around that? Club Nintendo. Because when you buy games and you register with Club Nintendo, you get those coins that you can actually have stuff mailed to you, and they have some really cool stuff on there. Like you actually get like between CDs, bags, statues, sometimes where they give to platinum members and such. That's where they kind of get around that. It's like you're getting that Nintendo collector stuff. That you can add on to
I
your
get the
console
feeling
section.
I'm not going to get anywhere with this non-Nintendo collector's edition.
Well, there
with you
is
guys,
Majora's
so,
Mask coming out, and that one is
Yes,
going to
that
have a
one.
collector's edition.
Sold out in like a day.
Yeah,
It's like, come on.
I like that though. That I love collector's editions. That's my
Yeah.
point. So yeah,
And
That's
it's
true.
$49. Thank you.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and actually, no, I just thought of another one that actually was Legend of Zelda related. The Wind Waker HD one, I think it was, came with
yeah.
a collectible.
Yep, you're right.
Was it like little figurine? I think it was
It
either
was
of
Ganon.
Link or Ganondorf.
Yeah.
Ganon? Okay, yeah. That was another one that did that. So, yeah. Hopefully, I get a Star Fox one that gives me an R-Wing. If they give me an R-Wing,
that'd
I'm
be
good.
so awesome.
I'm good. Oh, man. But thanks for that little comment there, Miss Lesbian Rose. But let's talk about another comment here that was on last episode of the podcast. Okay, comes from Orcarina Player of Time. She goes, first time listening to one of these. Some interesting stuff. Oh, thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Sweet.
That's pretty awesome. We got a couple of those that actually came out on here, but we actually got a question from Mr. NK1982 on my IGN. He comes out and goes, will there be a regular schedule and more guests to the podcast? So one thing is we kind of got a regular schedule now. We're doing it every week, putting up the podcast for you guys. Sometimes we hit it up at the beginning of the week, sometimes getting towards the middle of it, depending, on how we record stuff. But as far as guests, we can't say anything now, but we do have some interesting plans for you guys. Yeah, so
Besides
we're
that
over here
creaky door in the background.
yeah, right. That's a metaphor for possibilities.
Yeah, the
opening
door just opened, creepily
Okay.
open now.
which is very, very cool. But we got some interesting stuff for you guys planned out. Hopefully it comes together within the next week or so, and you guys will know when you hear it or when you see it, because we'll post it up all over the place, and we'll let you guys know on Twitter, on All Star Pod on Twitter, as well as also on my IGN when we do the blog posts for the podcast. But we also got another comment from, believe it or not, Mr. Greg Miller, which is pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. Greg actually listened to our podcast last episode, and where we were talking about him and the rest of the guys, going out to go do the stuff for Kind of Funny as their other endeavor, and that was pretty cool. He comes out, he goes, "Thanks for the kind words, guys. Colin and I are listening to it right now." So I guess obviously he means at the time when he actually saw this, but I like to think like he's listening to it right now.
Like forever. He just has it on a loop.
Just
I think.
got it on
Yeah.
repeat and
Yeah.
such. That'd be pretty sweet, But that's pretty awesome. We're glad that those guys actually checked out what we were doing with the podcast. It's pretty awesome. Cool. We try to learn from the best. It's pretty cool.
No, they're good guys.
But-
I wish them well. I hopefully much success with them in the very, very near future.
Oh heck yeah, definitely. I love those guys. They're awesome. But here comes another one from J Smash. He goes, "Gonna listen to this tonight. I can't believe you guys are on episode 5 already.
Yeah.
From last episode. Keep up the good work." Which is great.
That's insane.
We'll definitely.
I can't believe that
Yeah.
we're already on episode 6.
Yeah.
When we get
And
to
it sounds
episode
like
7.
Sounds like he has a cozy little setup too. It sounds just like a romantic evening with the All Star podcast and a glass of wine or
Some
something,
candles.
Yeah, why
Oh,
not?
man.
I'm gonna light a candle next time I'm in here.
That's funny. And then finally, from Mr. Aniel Vargas. Okay, I'm still gonna say it that way.
Yeah.
I'm just his comment is in relation to that, but it just sounds so much
exotic.
more cooler.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, seriously, it sounds like a mix between Antonio Banderas and Sean Connery.
Oh.
So that's an awesome mix. But Mr. Aniel Vargas
I suppose.
goes, you pronounce it like you would pronounce angel, so it goes Aniel Vargas, which does not sound as cool. He goes, also I am a he. And I don't remember us calling him a she, but still. He goes, thanks for the shout out. Very nice podcast. Keep up the good work.
Oh, Petey said he or she. I don't know if it's, and that's what he said. He said,
Oh,
and I
yeah,
don't want to
okay.
call him it. And so yeah. So
Oh,
no.
yeah, that's right.
okay,
So,
yeah.
that's right, Pete. Calling people it's. That's
Yeah,
right.
said I
jeez,
didn't
Petey.
want to.
Goodness, man.
Jeez,
Man.
I'm just taking punches.
But yeah,
today.
that was
Holy crap.
That was our last week's community member spotlight, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thanks for all the feedback, guys. Again, we really appreciate it. We want this podcast to grow for you guys. We want to, know what's good and what's working, what's not working for you guys. So just keep letting us know in the comments section of the MyIGN blogs, as well as also keep writing into the email at allstarpod@hotmail.com to let us know, your thoughts and any of your questions on the podcast.
Yeah.
As well as also follow us on Twitter. Again, AllStarPod on Twitter. Send us a whole bunch of stuff. And, again, we got a bunch of cool, neat little surprises for you, over the hopefully next couple of weeks that you guys have a lot to look forward to and a lot to expect. Some good quality stuff.
Stuff.
But that stuff. That
I
right
know about
stuff,
that stuff.
That good stuff. Ryan's got that good stuff.
Whoa.
Good stuff. That good
All
stuff on
right.
IGN.
Take
making
it easy
IGN
there,
awesome.
Tiger.
Well, how do you expect IGN to be so good? You got that good stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, man, you flatter me. I say that to all the boys.
But with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Any final thoughts from either you or was it from either Ryan or Pete here?
No, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Pete.
No, I just want to say thank you to Ryan for being on the show again, and the door or the metaphorical seat is always open to you.
Oh,
the creepy
okay.
door is always open for you.
The metaphorical door of opportunity.
So yeah,
that's what we're going to call
in
it.
case you ever want to be back on, or in case you'd like to be an official third chair, the seat is always open for you, my friend.
We should put that on a vote, just have people respond and be like, should this guy even be back on or not?
You know what? Let's do it. Here,
That'd
if
be
you guys
awesome.
listen to the podcast, okay? If you want Ryan to be the permanent, never rotating third chair, kind of like harping back to Beyond, but if you want him to be a permanent addition, so we make the Three Musketeers of gaming here, okay? Write into allstarpod@hotmail.com and let us know. If you want Ryan to stay as a permanent addition, or hit us up on Twitter at AllStarPod, was it on Twitter? Or put a comment in the comment section on my IGN on the blog post. Let us know. Should we be the Three Musketeers of gaming, or should we be just straight up the dynamic duo of gaming?
And I'll promise not to revenge spam any of you guys that vote me off.
He's going to walk around with the bad
dare.
hammer. Talking about how so what was that about not having me as a third edition, guys?
No. It's all in good fun. Yeah. But yeah, no, send your questions in as well, because obviously I think that's kind of the whole purpose of this, is just to kind of just kind of have some topics to talk about, and even if it's something just silly or off to the side of things, I don't think anything is really kind of off limits here, right?
No,
Definitely. Nothing's off limits here.
And I mean, everybody that listens, or not everybody, but most people who listen are IGN All-Stars. And if you would like to be an IGN All-Star, head over to IGN.com and submit an application. Not everyone is selected as an IGN All-Star, so only the best and the greatest are selected. And in case you would like to be an IGN community member, all you have to do is head over to IGN.com, start checking out the videos, make a my IGN username, and start submitting blogs and comments to other people and just be interactive. So anybody can do it.
Check out that segue.
You want to talk about
See
professional?
that? Oh my god!
This
Watch
man
out,
was
Destin
this
Legary.
man. You pull that Destin Legary /
I imagine Petey Lillo was wearing like a silk robe whenever he did that, because that was just so smooth.
With a pipe, right?
Yeah, I mean, man, that was insane.
Pipe, a glass of wine, some crackers and cheese.
Yeah.
This man was professional.
That was good. Good stuff.
That was good. Very, very. You got that right stuff. And then, yeah. But with that being said, again, thanks for listening to episode 6 of the podcast here, guys. Okay, we'll be back again with a new episode of the IGN All-Star Community Podcast. We hope to hear you guys, or hear back from you guys in the comments and also in the email and on Twitter. And we will talk to you guys again real soon. Peace out and stay epic, everybody.
Peace.
Laters. Game on.